Hey everybody, and welcome to Book Chat. I am your host, author Vivian Moore, and I missed you guys last week. I hope you missed me, but you know, it was the holiday weekend, and I was busy, and I'm pretty sure everyone else was as well. And I hope that you had a very nice Memorial Day, and remember what that day was for. And I so appreciate all of the soldiers that have fought and who are still defending our country against evil. The military goes way back in my family. I've had my uncle on my mother's side of the family who served in 2 wars. And then my brother, of course, one of my older brothers, was in the Vietnam War. And then I had another brother who retired from the Navy. And, of course, my son, who just recently retired from the military, who did 2 trips to the Middle East. So, I'm so proud of them and so thankful at the same time that they gave up, so much of their lives to defend this country. So, that was the purpose of why we celebrated on that holiday, because they deserve that. Today was such a beautiful day. The weather is just perfect. I hope you had a chance to go out and spend some time outside today, whether you worked in the yard or, if you went to the park or whatever you did today. I hope that you just had a great time doing it. And so now that we have that out of the way, I want to get right into the show. But first, before we do, I want to give you these URLs. This is how we always do it, every Saturday at 6. And I hope that if you didn't listen to or if you couldn't find the episodes on Spreaker, they are now on iTunes. So you can just put in either my name or put in Book Chat with author Vivian Moore, and you should be able to find it on iTunes. And I forgot to put that link out when I posted it on everywhere else on social media this morning. So I do apologize for that, and in the future I will have that link on there for you to be able to access the recorded shows. But anyway, the first URL, of course, is for Spreaker, and that is https://www.spreaker.com/user/author Vivian Moore. You can also follow me on Facebook, and that is https://www.facebook.com/Vivian Moore. If you want to check out my Pinterest page, and I've added some new ones on there, that one is https://www.pinterest.com/Vivian Moore 48. My Twitter handle is God's Property 46. And if you want to check me out on Instagram, that is https://Instagram.com/God's Property 51. And I would love for you to check out my webpage, which is https://VivianMoore.wix site. That's WIXSITE.com/author Vivian Moore. And also check out my blog. That is VivianEMoore.blog site. That's BLOGSITE.com. Okay, so now we got all of that out of the way. So now let's move directly into today's show. The title of today's show is A Few of My Favorite Things, and the topic is books on my best ever list. All right, so how many of you remember or have even seen the movie The Sound of Music? Show of hands, I've got mine raised, okay? Well, like this movie and many books I've read and currently reading are a few of my favorite things. My book list grows daily. As you know, I am an avid reader and religiously add more to my collection continuously, and I definitely mean that. But over the past few months, I've stumbled across some great reads that I absolutely love, and I wanted to share these titles with you today. Of course, my love of books is a passion. Historical fiction, romance, fantasy are only a few of my ever-expanding genres that's on my to-read list. Now, I read a variety of books, and many are forgettable, sorry to say, but there are some that stay with me long after I've moved on to the next story. And this is why I wanted to share with you the top 10 of my favorite books. Some of you may have already read, and if so, we agree that you have great taste in books. And if you have not, I've been fortunate in discovering what I believe will become classics and join the ranks of other titles as must-reads, then please add these books to your list. Okay, you know, we are so bombarded daily by the complexity of existence and the ever-declining state of the world, whether it's world peace, clean air, or the growing, often controversial political situation that affects us all. But what I desire to do is to take you away, like Calgon, from the seriousness for just a few minutes or more, to a world where tragedy, mayhem, love, peace, and war are all contained within the pages of a great book. I'd like to expand your imaginations to see past the mind-boggling affairs of real life to a surreal place that allows you to indulge in utter fantasy just for a bit. All my favorites are composed of every subgenre that falls under the heading of romance. I love history and am never far away from what is at my heart's content, my first love, romance. What I discovered is that I can still have it all wrapped up in the lovely package of this and other great stories. So without further ado, I submit to you the books I absolutely loved most and are on my best ever list. All right, number 1. Can you guess what it is? Outlander, yay! By Diana Gabaldon. Now, I cannot say enough about this series of books, and I've read them all, and I can't wait for the next one. I was introduced to this story on cable television, and all I saw was the promo, and I knew that I had to watch it. And from the moment of this discovery of compelling genius, knew I must have the books to add to my collection. Now, this story had everything that an imaginative mind possesses: history, time travel, and I am a dedicated fan of the television series that will return in September. Can't hardly wait. And of Jamie and Claire, who are lovable characters as the story tracks their lives from the point Claire stumbles back to the 18th century. In addition, the list of books, the series of books are way more detailed than, of course, what you see on television. But it takes you it takes you on a journey that you will not soon forget. I promise you that. Number 2 is The Last Kingdom, and this book is by Bernard Cornwell. I just recently discovered this series on Netflix, but it originally aired on the British network, the BBC. And if you have on demand through your cable provider, then you can still catch these episodes. It's season 1 and season 2. But this book, it captivated me. And it's funny how I always manage to find the screenplay first, totally by accident, and then discover that it's based on a series of books. Anyway, the characters are based on the genius of the author, who builds the story around real places, yet the United Kingdom during medieval times. The characters, Uhtred is the main character that the story is based upon, and of course he's fictional, but history can attest to the existence of course, King Alfred. of Wessex, and the story of how he tried to join all of these kingdoms, all these separate kingdoms, into one country, which is now England, is considered England because it's under British rule. Okay, but anyway, this is what makes the story that much more exciting, especially for history lovers, including me. I could not put this book down. I binge watched the television series, the first 2 seasons on Netflix, as I said before, which increased my curiosity to learn more about the story. And you should definitely add this one with many stars on your summer reading list. You should add it to your summer reading list. I think it's about 10 books in this series, maybe a few more, I'm not sure, but you definitely should, make a list and have this one somewhere on that list to read those series of books. And I know it'll take you a while to read them all, but let me just tell you, they are so much worth reading. And you will not be disappointed. I promise you that. All right. So number 3 is The Gifting series by K.E. Ganshart. And this story unfolds to something that I wasn't quite expecting. It is also another of my favorites, and it falls under the young adult sci-fi genre. This is book 1. Which book 1 is the catalyst for everything that takes place in this amazing story. There are 3 books total, and I recommend you read them all and be prepared for one of the most intricately written, brilliant stories ever. That should be a television series or a movie, and I'm serious about this. It's like a mixture of I'm trying to think of the name of the movie. Oh gosh, I can't think of the name of the movie, but the title of the movie. But it had Leonardo DiCaprio in it. It was like all-star studded Inception. That's the name of the movie. It sort of puts you in the mind of that because the characters are their most powerful when they're in like this dream state. They can do everything, and it reminds me of another series too. I think there were 3, and they were books too. And I didn't get the author's name of the ones that wrote those books, but you should definitely get this book, add to your reading list. You won't be disappointed, I promise you. All right, so number 4 is Fateful Vampire Trilogy, and these series of books are by Sherry Schmidt. Her last name is spelled Schmidt, just for future reference in case you want to look her up. Her first name is spelled Cheri, in case I didn't say that plain enough for you the first time. But anyway, it is it's a book of paranormal. So if you are a paranormal fan, then this is the series of books for you. If you like the vampire series Twilight, then you are definitely going to love this series of books. And the story is at some points is serious, but then at some points where it's so funny. And this is a YA book, it's young adult fiction, but the book is exciting, and it starts out very seriously. It starts out that way, but then there are parts in the book that are quite funny, that'll draw a laugh out of you, and you would definitely enjoy it. Now, I've always loved Dracula and the many books that evolved from that story, and this author puts a new spin on the classic tale, and I guarantee it will become one of your favorites as well. You will not be disappointed, and you will be hooked. Count on it. All right, so number 5 is the Captive series, and this is by Erica Stevens. And I want you to be prepared for another unexpected treasure in this series of books. Yes, it is another vampire story, but a great one. And I don't want to spoil the plot, so all I can say is add this one to your list as well. And I will say it is an addictive read and another one of those stories that blindside you. It is not predictable, as most of these types of stories are. It is a beautiful tale of love and unifying the human race with the supernatural. So make sure you get that series by Erica Stevens. I think that there are always at least 7 or 8 books, if I'm not mistaken. I think it is 8, but I think I've read all the way up to maybe the first 4, maybe 5 books. But I'm telling you, all of these books can be standalone books. You don't necessarily have to read the series to find out what's going on, but it is well worth reading every single book because they're all related, but they could be just individual books by themselves. So I invite you to look up those books and read them. And two, I just want to tell you that all of these books that I'm naming today, these books are not expensive. Probably the most expensive book on this list is The Last Kingdom, and maybe some of Diana Gabaldon's books are probably more expensive. But some of these books, you can find them on Amazon. Some are 99 cents, some are free, some are probably less than $5 or less than $6. But the most that you'll pay probably for the Diana Gabaldon series, the Outlander series, or the Last Kingdom series, because I know it's about of the Last Kingdom series. I think there is about maybe 10 books, if I'm not mistaken. Could be a bit more, I'm not sure. But I've only gotten to through book 1, but I'm going to get book 2 today. As soon as I finish this show, I'm going out there to get that book because I can't wait to find out what happens. Although I have seen the series, I've seen the first 2 seasons of the series, but I still want to read those books because I love detail. And of course, you know, the series sort of smushes it all up into 50 minutes or 58 minutes, of a television show. So you don't get everything quite as much as if you would if you just read the books, and then you could just sort of, sort it out that way. But please do get those books. All right. So number 6 is the Circle trilogy, and this is by Nora Roberts. Now, this book was recommended to me by a coworker, and she is another lover of books. We often talk about books on a daily basis, and I will suggest books to her, and then she does that for me as well. We talk about the different things that we read, and because she likes listening to audiobooks just like I do, and we always have great conversations. And sometimes it's not even related to books, but the majority of our conversations is book related. And I love that because I can't get enough of talking about great books. And this is one of the other reasons why I wanted to do this show today, because I wanted to share with the audience these books that I've read over the past few months, and because they are well worth reading, and you should get them for yourself, for your own library. But anyway, she suggested that I read the series, which I did and was completely blown away. I had read a few of this author's books when I was younger, but I wasn't a true fan until now. And talk about the unexpected. Yes, it is yet another fantasy, and if this is your genre, then I suggest you read the entire series. From the beginning, I knew that there was something special about one of the main characters, which his name is Ken. And every page holds excitement and will have you on the edge of your seat with anticipation. If these books are selected for a screenplay, I will be the first in line to watch it. This is a great story that is well written. It is pure genius. It is 3 books of unending excitement, and oh my gosh, I was just, when I read maybe the first 2 chapters, just reading the first few pages had me so deep inside the story that I didn't want it to end. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for the next book. So I bought all 3 of these books together and read all 3 of them. I wish I'd read them more slowly because they were just that good to where you didn't even realize how fast you were reading the books, because it was just like watching a movie on the screen reading these books. And it should be a series. Someone should say, hey, let's turn these books into a series. I would love for them to do that. But anyway, that's not my decision. It's not up to me. But maybe the fans will, talk about the book enough. So television producers will want to check it out and maybe see about making this a series. All right. So number 7 is Love, Edie. This is also a series. It's 3 books by Shawanda Pugh. And OMG, I am so blown away by this author and her beautiful way of storytelling. This book pulled at the strings of my heart. It set me on an emotional roller coaster that I wasn't ready to disembark from. If you are searching for a teen or young adult love story, then may I suggest this series of books. Well written, completely enveloping, that binds two young people from different ethnicities together amid many trials and tribulations. It will have you cheering Edie and her son on as they grow from best friends to lovers. And another thing that I loved about this book was the fact that it was an interracial relationship. And because, I write about interracial relationships as well. And so I guess that's why it was so compelling to me. But, I got this book. It was a free book. The first book was free. And so I had it for like maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a little bit longer. And I was like, I don't want to read this book. I think I may have started reading it. And I was like, I don't want to read this book. And then something just sparked in me to say, you need to read this book. So I started reading it again. And oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did, because I love this story. It's perfect for young people. There's nothing risque about it. There's not a lot of strong language. Maybe a little bit in the third book. It may be a little bit more intense in the third book than the first and the second book. But it's a coming of age story about two friends who they've been brought up together since they were babies. Her son, of course, is Indian, and his parents are from India, and they are very traditional people, of which they select brides for their sons, and if it was a daughter, then they would select a spouse for her, but they happen to have a son, and he is one of, or the only Indian football player at his high school, and but this young man goes on to greater things. And Edie is she's a dancer. She studies ballet and all of these things. And so the story just tells how these two young people who were friends, and it was almost as if they discovered that they loved each other at the same time, but they were so afraid to tell each other how they felt. I mean, they showed it in their emotions and in how they supported each other, in their careers. But they were they just couldn't quite come out with it. But the main reason why was because of the backgrounds. Because Edie's family, of course, is black, and their traditions are different. Where she's Christian, and of course her son is Hindu, where his parents are Hindu, and so and that's what they practice. So it's just you have to put into play all of these different things, and then understand how difficult it was for them to to be so open about their relationship, because they were so afraid that their parents wouldn't understand, because they saw them as being best friends and nothing more than that. But you just need to read the books for yourself, and I promise you will absolutely love this series of books. It is so well worth reading. I think the first one is called, of course, Love, Edie. The second one is called Bittersweet, and then the third one is called Wrecked. So you need to check those out. And this author, Shawanda Pugh, has done some other books that were more contemporary, and I'm not familiar with them because I've never read them before. But the series that I just suggested to you, definitely check these out. And then if you're interested in anything in any of her other works, then you might want to check those out for yourself as well. All right, so number 8 is Running in the Dark. And this book is by Inger Iverson. And this book hooked me from the start and is one of a series of books by this author. It is a short read, but a great one. And I like this book because, like the Love Edie series, it transcends cultures and race to tell a beautiful story. And it just happens to be another vampire tale, but hey, I love them. So, that's pretty much what I've read this year is paranormal. But sometimes you got to open your mind up to different things. And I had to learn that because I was a stickler for just reading romance, and I wouldn't go outside of that for anything. If it wasn't a historical romance or contemporary romance, then I wasn't going to read anything else. But the fact of the matter is, I was missing out on so many other great books because of my prejudice against other genres. But I discovered something about myself. I grew a little bit more, and so now I have opened myself up to read other things other than just what I write about, because it's helpful. And then too, I learned that just because it may be paranormal fiction does not mean that the subgenre does not fall under romance. So it covers all bases. So, but you need to get that series, Running in the Dark. It's a really good book. As I said before, it's just a short read, but I think that this author has done some other books. I don't know if they all have the same title of Running in the Dark. They may, I'm not sure, but this is the only book by this author that I've read thus far, but I plan on reading more. Okay, so number 9 is Creatus, and that's spelled Creatus. It is by Carmen de Souza, and this is also a series of books, but they're standalone, so you can read the first book and be completely satisfied, because I think the next series of books about different characters that come out of the first book. But anyway, this is a story of how the legend of vampires came into existence. And it is totally not what I was expecting. And it is what makes this story another great read. I haven't read the full series yet, but it's on my list of must-haves, and I love protector or guardian heroes, and that is what the main male character of this book is. He is a protector or a guardian, and this is one of those types of stories that you will absolutely fall in love with. The characters, they experience tragedy, but triumphs over evil, the ultimate battle of good versus evil storyline. All right, so number 10, y'all, is Queen Sugar by Natalie Bazile, and this was a book that was also made into a screenplay. And this series shows on the OWN network. That's Oprah's station. And the first 2 seasons are a must-see. And I recommend that you read the book first for the complete details of the storyline. But it takes place in Louisiana. It's 3 siblings. One of the older siblings is not stationed in Louisiana, but she goes back after their father passes, and so he has left this sugar plantation to the son, and of course he has no idea of how to run a business or a sugar plantation as far as that much is concerned. And they also have an aunt that's in the story, and I mean, it's so very interesting show, and you should definitely, again, I say read the book first before you watch the series, because the books are always just a tad bit different than what they show on television. And so, I mean, it's just up to you as to which one you prefer. If you want to watch the series first and then get the book, but I recommend getting the book first and reading that. That way you'll have a more detailed storyline of what's actually taking place in this story to help you understand it better. Because sometimes if you're watching television, it can be a bit misleading, and sometimes they change things around, they change characters around. But if you read the book, It's more true to the story, and it's just better that way. And maybe it's just me, but I would rather read the book first before I see the series if I know about it. But if I don't know about it and I see the series and then I later find out that it's actually a book, then of course I'm going to read the book, and watch the series too. But it sort of gives you the inside scoop on what's happening before everyone else gets to see, the new season. And that's one of the reasons why I would rather read the book, because you know what's going to happen all the way through to the end. Whereas if you haven't read the book and you're waiting for it to be televised for the next season, then that means you have to wait, to see what's going to happen. And I hate that. It's almost like a cliffhanger. I hate that. I'd rather know than be sitting in the dark and waiting for something to take place. But anyway, I get that none of these books have yet to win a Pulitzer Prize in fiction, but they are well worth reading, and they get across the board stars for me. And you may feel the same as I do, I don't know, but I hope that you will add them to your list of summer reads. Buy them for a friend. Sit back and enjoy fiction at its best. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed today's show. The list of my favorite things. As I say again, I did miss talking with everyone, doing the show last weekend because of the fact that it was a holiday weekend, and I just wasn't able to fit in doing the show with all the other things that I had to do. But because I want to give my best at everything that I do, and so I don't want to to rush through anything and then put it out for everyone to listen to. So that's just not how I do things. But today I just want to share with everyone that I had an outing with of course my sister and three of my other sisters in Christ. We went out today to this little shop downtown. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but it's called the English Rose, and it sits on Market Street. And if you're familiar with the downtown area, it is directly across the street from the Choo Choo. And I've never been there before, and I'm so glad I went. The experience was so worth it, to sit down and be introduced to all these different teas. And just the ambience of the building is just so soothing and pleasing. And they have all of these beautiful photographs on the wall. They had one of the Queen on the wall over the fireplace. It was over the fireplace mantle. And then, of course, they have all of these different teapots and teacups and anything dealing with tea on display. And it's just beautifully decorated. The way they have everything set up is very cozy. It's very quaint. It's not a big place. But it is, you can have like private conversations because of the way that they have these tables set up, and that all the tables are covered with these lace tablecloths, and you have cloth napkins, and they bring you out your individual teapots of whatever type tea that you choose. And not only that, but you can they have a menu that you can choose from, and sort of get like a sample platter of sandwiches and scones and tea biscuits and oh my God, desserts to die for. I mean, it is so worth, and it's not expensive. Let me just tell you that right now. It is not expensive. And it's a perfect spot if you want to introduce your daughter or your granddaughter to tea, or your grandson or your son. It doesn't matter which just do it, and it will be so much worth going down and having that experience. I mean, downtown has changed so much over the years. It has definitely changed from my childhood to what it is now, and it's just amazing. If you live here in the city, then you would definitely want to put that on your to-do list as well, along with those books that I recommended to you. But if you live here in the city, then it will be worth your while to go downtown and experience a lot of the shops that they have, and especially that one. The English tea room, I think is what it's called, or the English Rose is what it's called. And so I spoke to them about maybe doing hosting a little book get together down there. And what she told me was that it was free, especially if you come during she said during the week when it's not as busy with other patrons as it is on the weekend. So that is something that I am going to look into, and as that comes about, I will post it out on social media to do invites and for you to come down and maybe have a book reading with my latest book, If Tomorrow Comes, Requiem. I'm still currently working on the second book, which is also titled If Tomorrow Comes, but it's that one would be called Genesis. Two, I just wanted to share with you, I think I mentioned this before, that I have sold books in 3 other countries, and now it's up to 4. I found out about a week ago that I've had book sales in India, of all places, and that just blew my mind. So, I'm just so thankful and so grateful to God for blessing me in such a dynamic way, more than what I ever thought possible. My one of my main goals in my prayers was to be a published author, and God has added so much more to that blessing. That I never would have thought possible, and I'm just so thankful for it. I thank God for everything that He's done in my life, making it possible for me to be able to write, giving me that gift of creativity, of having a creative mind, to want to write books, to tell stories. But that's something too that He's blessed. He blessed my mother and my grandmother with. They were great storytellers, and so that has been passed on down to me and hopefully my grandchildren and maybe to my nieces and nephews as well. It's a great legacy to have, and I'm just so thankful. When I sit in my office and I look at the posters that has my book that I've written with my name on it. I mean, to me, it's still so surreal. It don't feel real at all when I look at these things. It's as if I'm looking at another author's book, because it's like I just can't place it in my mind that these are my books, these are my stories that have been published and that are doing well. And I guess it's all about having that humble spirit, having that humble nature, because just as God bless you with it, He can take it all away. And I'm mindful of that. And I guess that is what makes me even more thankful that He has blessed me to be able to tell stories. And so I'm still working on the release of the second book in the series of If Tomorrow Comes. And, everybody that has read the book, they can't hardly wait for the second book to come out. And I tell them all the time, I'm working on it. I'm trying to get it, as close to perfect as I can before it comes out. And because I want to tell a great story, and I want it to be complete and, with no loose ends. So I want to put forth my best effort in everything that I do, because people will remember you if you write a bad book, but they would definitely remember you if you write a great one. So I would rather be remembered for writing a great book more so than a bad one. But again, I hope that everybody has had a lovely weekend. Saturdays, I know it's a time for relaxation or for everybody to get out and do what they need to do. And today's show, of course, ran longer than 15 minutes, but I had to make up for last week for not being able to broadcast. And two, while this is on my mind, coming up on the third Saturday in this month, I believe it is the 17th. I won't be able to broadcast that day either, because I'm going on a all-day train ride with my 2 sisters, Lord willing. And so I won't be able to broadcast that day because we don't get back from back to the terminal until 6 o'clock. And so it would be well after 6, probably closer to 7 by the time I made it home to to do the show. So I'll pick up from that Saturday on the next Saturday with the different show, with the new show. And hopefully, maybe it won't be as long as today's show. Who knows? I don't know. It just depends on what I talk about. But I have so enjoyed being back on the air with you today and talking about, my personal interests, these books that I absolutely love. And I want you to love them too. And tomorrow, of course, is worship day. Take a loved one to church. Take a friend. Take someone who may not have a church home that is looking for one. Last Sunday, we were invited to come and worship with another church. It was in honor of their pastor's anniversary, and we had a lovely time. They fed us, and our pastor fed us with the word. So it was just a beautiful day. And tell somebody that you love them, because tomorrow is not promised. I love you. I hope you love me back. Until next week, God bless you and goodbye.